Public relations practice is a problem-solving profession, especially during crises. Is one of the veritable tools of solving societal problems. And as the COVID-19 still battles nations of the world, it's one of the major instruments of solving the problem across board. And that brings us to the topic of discussion today on your image. COVID-19 PR approach to solving the virus in Nigeria especially. And of course, the topic has been on and on over the time, and of course it's very germane to what is happening all over the world. And that brings us to the topic of discussion today. COVID-19 PR approach to solving the deadly virus. I have professionals in the studios with me as usual, PR practitioners, professionals, academic, and of course people in the media. From my immediate left hand side, I have the chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations in Ogun State, NIPR, and of course a lecturer in the Department of Mass Communication, Moshood Abiola, Polytechnic, Abeokuta. Mr. Lekon Togua is very much around with us. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everyone.
On my immediate right-hand side is a veteran broadcaster. He is also a PR expert, peace and conflict scholar. Mr. Dara Adibigbe is very much around, also with us on your image today. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, dear moderator, and good evening, viewers.
And joining the discussion today, I also have a broadcaster and, of course, a communication expert and a media personality. Mr. Emmanuel is not a stranger on this show. You are welcome once again.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Just like I said earlier, that populations is a veritable tool of solving societal problem. And it's not different this time around, using that as a tool of providing a lasting solution to COVID-19 as the world battles with this deadly virus. And let me start from Mr. Lekon Togua, who will quickly give us a rundown of approach to be used to solving this problem. Mr. Togua, as a scholar and as the #1 PR practitioner in Ogun State, how do we use populations to face this particular deadly virus? We have been talking about this over the time, but today's topic is created in such a way that at least we want to see the end of this virus in not so long time. What's your approach?
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Well, if we want to begin to look at how we can use public relations to manage or solve the COVID-19 pandemic that we have on our hand, I believe we should do a bit of situation analysis. We can maybe go a bit back and look at the genesis, how the disease entered Nigeria. Now, you will recall that sometime in February, before we had our index case, WHO declared COVID-19 a pandemic. That is, it is a global issue, a global disease, so to say. And with that, even before the declaration by WHO, the Nigerian government had started making preparatory arrangements to manage or to contain the disease in the eventuality that it got to Nigeria. Now, on the 27th, we had our first case, that is the index case. But let me say that immediately that the WHO declared the disease a pandemic, I believe that we should have started serious screening at the entry point into our country. At the airport, we should have started what we call the normal quarantine. Everyone that is coming in should be quarantined. People coming in through our land borders, we should have started that process at that point. But if you look at it, the first case that we had, that person slipped through the airport. He came in on the 26th, that Italian, he came in on the 26th. On the 27th, he fell ill and eventually it was declared. And again, if you look at the third case, the second one was the one at Iwekoro, which eventually told us that, oh, he eventually tested negative. Then we had the third one that also came in from UK. So at the entry point, immediately it was declared a pandemic. We should have begun to look at people coming in through our airports. Yes, initially we didn't close our borders, we didn't shut the airport, but at least we should have been looking at doing the screening, quarantine of people that are coming in. We didn't do that. Now, after that, we started having some other cases, coming up, And at a point, government said, oh, we have a case at hand, then we need to go on a lockdown. When the thing was just growing, we needed to have a lockdown. Now, there was so much enthusiasm in the air. Government promised palliatives. That, oh, we are going to give you this, we are going to give that. And if you look at it at that point in time, people were so much in support of what government was doing. It was as if we have a common problem. And there was that aggregate of position that, oh, this is a problem that we must jointly solve. So there was so much enthusiasm that, oh, we have to sit at home, but government has promised us that there will be enough palliatives to take care of our case. Now all of us can recall what happened eventually with the palliatives. And that was when the problem started. People started losing confidence in government's preparation and ability to manage the crisis. You see, it is not enough for us to know that, yes, every day they give us update on new cases that are coming up, those that have been discharged, and the number of deaths that we have. But the fact is that palliative failed. And I believe that at a point, there's nothing bad in government coming on around to say, yes, we admitted that this has actually failed. It is very important. You don't just shove it aside and say, yes, we have done it, it didn't work. Even at a point, government said, oh, the thing was meant for the poor and the vulnerable. If you look at Nigeria, how many people are poor and vulnerable? So many people that you see, you believe they are members of the middle class, they are also poor and vulnerable. And if you look at the state of our economy, almost everyone in Nigeria is vulnerable. Almost everyone.
So virtually everybody is vulnerable.
Rich, yes.
Meaning that the palliative should even pass through everybody.
Well, fine. Maybe in the first instance, we can categorize, we can do some segmentation to look at who are going to be the first beneficiary and second beneficiary. Even those that stored money at home now, they are afraid. So everyone is vulnerable. So because of that loss of confidence with the palliatives, and government didn't come around to say, oh, yes, this has failed, we are sorry, oh, we want to, at the point they said there will be another set of palliatives. We have not heard anything. So there's need for confidence building.
Confidence building.
There's lack of trust. So when we have done a bit of situation analysis to identify the problem. What are the problems now? There's lack of trust. And if you look at it, the lack of trust cut across various categories, various segments of the society.
I will come back to that area you want to go. Let me go to Mr. Dara Adedingbe. He talked about confidence from government, that people have lost confidence in government at all levels anyway. But now we have different approaches that we can use, that we can apply to solving this virus, risk formula and different formulas in public relations. Which one particularly do you think? I'll still come back to the area you went, but I don't want us to lose focus of that discussion. Which approach do you think, a particular formula in public relations, do you think can be applied to eradicate, to ameliorate the situation as far as the COVID-19 is concerned in Nigeria?
Yeah, I want to thank my chairman for the retrospective perspective approach that he has used in letting us know where we are coming from. And that is the beginning of how to address the problem. You call that theoretically in class research. We have failed in the beginning. And from the perspective that he has given, we want to reassure now. And that is giving our failure, what can we do? And it is as a result of planlessness, which means planning has to be in place. You see, a nation that toils with figures will not be able to plan very well. We don't juggle very well with statistical figures to assist us in our planning. In a situation like this, look at the palliatives that he mentioned. How many people did the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs told Nigerians were recorded as those who are vulnerable Nigerians, who need these palliatives? I mean, it was during this crisis they said they wanted to increase the figure about 2 million to be added to the figure that has already been put into their data. You see, when you are handling a crisis like this, you must have what he has given as what is happening. How do you move from what is happening? Given the research that we have at hand, we have to plan. From planning, we have to reassure the people again that we are ready to do something. I think this is the level that we are now, that we need to gain the confidence of Nigerians, that the government both at the federal, state, and local, all the 3 tiers of government are ready to tackle this problem headlong in Nigeria. And as a result, all the stakeholders, not only the state actors, even non-state actors, like those engaged in transportation business, those in the agricultural sector, those in the industrial sector, the manufacturers, those in business, even the public workers. Then, of course, those we regard as the frontliners in this battle. How do we incorporate them into this planning?
To harness all this.
To ensure that what is needful is being done to regain the confidence of the people.
Okay.
We are talking of a disease that is yet to have a solution in terms of vaccine. We are being told that vaccine will not be ready until next year. It doesn't mean that give or take, people
mortality
should just
rate will continue.
No. At least we know we have people in the academia who are scientists, who are virologists, who are into pharmacology, whom we can call together. And at the same time, we have our traditional people in the herbs industry. And most of these things that they do, even the vaccines that they come up with at the end of the day, the source of it is always from the herbs. So what are we saying? So we need to plan. We need to engage in reassuring the Nigerian public that the government is able. We need not just reassuring them. We need to be communicating with them. Constantly. Yes, we have daily press coverages. Press conference at Abuja by the PTF, headed by the current FGCGF, Mr. Boss Mustafa. But we need to go from there. That's why I seem to like the approach of Lagos State when it comes to this matter. They are talking very much with the people. You need to be vocal. Even as worse as the situation is, we still have recoveries out of those whom we have said are positive. Okay. Let's celebrate them. Let people get to hear of them. How have they been able to get out of this thing? And this will reassure people. And let's get people to get more knowledge of why it is important that you must maintain physical distancing, even though people say social distancing. You know, why we must be using face mask. Because to people will say, I've taken Kanya or this. Why do I need this sanitizer? No, you must.
The sensitization must continue.
Need to encourage awareness, to raise the consciousness level of the people, to understand that this pandemic or this virus has no solution for now. And you need to be cautious how you conduct yourself in the public space. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much for that. You talk about planning, poor planning on the part of probably stakeholders without necessarily mentioning the government particularly. Let me go to Emmanuel, okay? When you look at the chain of information dissemination in recent times, the media is not left out. But there seems to be a vacuum between the media and the people in terms of figure that it mentioned, probably from the dashboard of NCDC. Don't you think the media is also contributing to there's a lacuna between the people and the media? Is the media doing enough in terms of information dissemination regularly? Or do you think the media organizations are not getting enough information from NCDC as far as the figures are concerned?
It is unfortunate that nobody can be adequately prepared for a pandemic. Okay. Or neither can anybody be prepared for a crisis. It is how it comes upon you. You tackle it headlong. But the difference between a guided response is that initially you have an emergency response, after which you now have a comprehensive response. The emergency response is to curtail, make sure things don't go out of hand, while the comprehensive will now be all-encompassing. It is quite unfortunate that the government was not well prepared. Though if we analyze comparatively, side by side other countries, it will be fair. It will not be fair on the government to say they have not prepared. They prepared, but some elements were missing in the preparation, and that is information sourcing and sharing. If you look at the way the Presidential Task Force has coordinated with state governments, there have been troubles in terms of reactions from the state governments. There was a time they alleged that state governors were not cooperating with them.
Okay.
That's because there was a lacuna, and that lacuna is still there.
And what do you think is responsible for that?
It is because there is no proper coordination from top to down.
Okay.
That is, the coordination is missing in how things are done. For a typical information sharing system, it's on the field, it is divided into three. Okay. You have the routine, the strategic, and the creative. Everybody has paid much attention to the routine. This is the number of figure we have. This is what is happening. The president has said this today. This has happened to this. We have failed to complement the routine with the strategic and the creative, and it is now showing. That is why there is problem with the state governors. That is why that's why you have conflicting figures. It became obvious in Ogun State here when NCDC published a certain figure, and the state government said otherwise. So it means there is something missing, and that is a bottom-top or a top-bottom approach of information sharing, where we are all on the same page and we have the same thing to say. The good thing about PR is that it is solution-oriented in all of its approach. And many of these approaches would come up with, this is what we should do. And the place of research, fine. Like I said initially, you are not well prepared for a crisis. But if we're having this discussion in February or March, we would have said there's not been time to prepare. But this is May. I think by now, we should have had a better structure to manage this crisis that we have on our hands.
Thank you very much. You're still watching your image on this station. And what are we talking about? COVID-19 and PR approaches to solving the virus in Nigeria especially. And I still have my guests in the studio who have been cross-fertilizing ideas on how to solving this problem. And let me go back to Mr. Aliko Tugua, the chairman and PR. Now, the two of them have talked about the approach, poor planning, lacuna from one part to the other. Don't you think there should be a white paper to be submitted to the federal government on how to use population's approach per se to solving this problem, and to also be proactive in case that we don't pray for further pandemic in this country again? The role of PR is very germane at this point in time. What is the role of NIPR?
I quite agree with you. Maybe perhaps I want to say that some of us have started working, because we realize that yes, we have a challenge here because the basic principles of public relations have not been properly applied. And obviously, even before I know before in a matter of days or a week or so, we will be seeing some of these things that some of us are doing to make government understand that these are the ways you people should be doing it, or to give an indication of the perception of people on the management of the COVID-19. But again, let me start again from where my friend over there stopped, about something like a disagreement when the governors are not agreeing with the NCDC. So I want to go back to the issue of lack of trust that I said, that I mentioned. Something is wrong somewhere. How can we have a common problem? I mean, it appears we have not come together to establish a common approach or strategy to solve the problem. As of today, I watched a video of the governor of Kogi State, one of the two states in Nigeria that have not recorded any incident of COVID-19, Kogi and Cross River. I watched his presentation, and the man is still saying, at the body said NCDC was trying to force figures on his throat. So that is a mistrust. There's a mutual mistrust somewhere. That NCDC is, and today he's saying NCDC is even not looking at other diseases apart from COVID-19. There's too much focus on COVID-19. Now, when you have the governor of a state, a member of the ruling class, saying something that is not at par with other members of the ruling class or the agency of government, there is a problem. So the issue of lack of confidence is there. You know, initially, before I finished my first remark, I said we can look at the mistrust across various segments of the society. Even within the ruling class, there's that lack of confidence. And that is why they have not been able to come together and say, yes, this is what we are going to do. And if I've said this is the figure I have, then you should have good reason to believe me. Why would someone be saying, no, I query your figure? Okay. Because you got it from my domain. But what I have is different from what you have. So there's a problem at that level. Now that is at the level of the ruling class. Okay. Now even between the government and the people, as I said, you know, if you look at when we had the second lockdown, the government was afraid to introduce the third one because they knew that it would create problem with the failure that was recorded with the palliatives. So government couldn't come around and say, oh, we want to do another total lockdown. Now look at, we do respect what the president did. In a way, he handed over the whole thing to the state governors and the other agencies in charge. But I want to believe that when you have a crisis of this magnitude, the head of the country must be seen to be talking, visible most of the time. Look at what is the commander-in-chief of this particular situation. Not just of the country, but he's the field commander as far as this situation is concerned. And we should be, look at what is happening in the US. We continue to make reference to those developing societies.
Okay, I will still come back to you. Let me quickly go to Mr. Adebimpe as a peace and conflict scholar now. How do we harness resources to bring all these problems to a halt, briefly?
We need to do what we call peace education. Okay. First, we need to educate our people, what we call in PR, you know, awareness, sensitizing. We need to sensitize the people. We need, again, confidence building, a reassurance that the government is on top of the game. Like you rightly said, in other climes, the field commander is the head of state, is the president of the nation. We saw what happened in Germany. That woman, Angela Merkel. You know, she's a chemist who I learned. She studied chemistry. So she has a little bit of understanding of how to address the matter. She's always, she has always been there. Look at Boris Johnson as well. Okay. That's why the fact that he became a victim. But he was still talking. So what we need to do is, again, we need to rebuild the confidence of the people. Okay. We need to reassure the people that, yes, the pandemic is real. Okay. But we are doing something. And we must evaluate. Okay. Each time we are building confidence, we need to evaluate each of our programs that we are doing. How far has it gone down? All right.
Thank you very much, because time is not now. So let me quickly go to Emmanuel. Okay. Whatever comes from the media is, people believe it. Yes. Hook, line, and sinker. Is the media doing enough in this directive? A quick one.
The media is not doing enough.
Okay.
There's still a lot that needs to be done. And that is, if you check out, just feel the pulse of the people. You see that many people still do not know many things about this virus. Some still doubt it. Regardless of how much the media has done, it would remain not enough if the information has not gone round, because it is the duty of the media. However, where does the media get its information from? Okay. That is also one important thing. Okay. In building confidence, let me just quickly hammer on what you said. In building confidence, we need engagement. Okay. Without engagement, we can't have reasonable...
It's okay. I think the discussion will surely continue next week, God willing. We have so much to learn from this. COVID-19 PR approach to solving the deadly virus in Nigeria. It's been a very fantastic session with my guest on Your Image today. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Lekan Togunwa, the chairman NIPR in Ogun State, also a lecturer in the Department of Mass Communication, Moshood Abela Polytechnic, Abeokuta. It's been a pleasure having you on this show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me also thank Mr. Adera Adibikwe. He's a veteran broadcaster, PR practitioner, and of course is a peace and conflict scholar. Mr. Adera Adibikwe, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. And not forgetting...
and viewers at home.
Thank you, sir.
For listening.
And Mr. Emmanuel Oke, a broadcaster and media personality. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until we'll meet next week in continuation of this discussion, we want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been part of this show. Until we see next week, by the grace of God, we pray COVID-19 will leave this country very soon. And of course, populations has a role to play. Thank you and God bless you.